Someone recently suggested I should share what I'd like to see in future Planet Coaster 2 updates. Now, I don't usually dive into speculation because it can become an echo chamber of recycled wish lists, and I find it difficult to do hype videos because, personally, I like to try the features out for myself first, so I'm approaching things from a more informed viewpoint. I'd say I'm mostly content with what we have, but pleasantly surprised when a new feature drops that genuinely enhances the gameplay. None of us can predict what's happening behind the scenes, but what I can say, it's very clear the dev team is working hard to push the game forward. That said, I am genuinely very flattered anyone is interested in my thoughts on this. So without repeating what we've already heard, requested hundreds of times since the launch, here's just a few of the ideas I have that I'd love to see make it into the game eventually. Number 1, my biggest wish for the game is a tweak to the guest decision making. Right now, guests deciding where they're going and what they're doing, it feels like it has little to do with their wants and needs and more to do with driving profitability of your rides. If you're more into the management side of the game and you're tracking the metrics, you've probably noticed that the stats rarely attain a high fulfillment rate, particularly the souvenir metric. I have gone over this in previous videos, and my conclusion is there must be something in the coding that instructs guests to seek out visiting your rides above all else. For the perfectionist in me, this doesn't sit well. I want all the metrics to be green. When a guest needs food, drink, bathroom, whatever, and their stats bar for that need drops to the amber level, I really want them to go seek out a facility to fix it. Right now they won't. I've found they'll willingly ignore requirements even if they're passing the very facility that they're complaining about in favour of queuing up for yet another ride. And there's nothing I can do about that. I can't manually force them to do something. This isn't The Sims. I mean, it's good that it doesn't feel like there's any negative consequences for this issue, but that doesn't sit well with me either. For instance, say your guests are starving and you've not provided any food vendors, I want them to react to that. I want them to leave the park rather than doing the unhappy dance all over the place. Which is another issue with this. The visual cues, like the angry waving arms or the classic I need the bathroom animation, that should be a visual cue to me that I don't have enough facilities in the vicinity, but the way the game works now, that's almost always not the case. Most of the time there's plenty of facilities available, they just won't use them. So, my wish for this in a future update, a tweak in the guest behaviour that overrides whatever the guests are doing and forces them to seek out facilities whenever any need drops below the green in their metrics. Plus, if you don't have a facility to meet a particular need, give me consequences for that. Have them leave the park. I think that would create a far more interesting challenge run. Next on my wish list is timed events. What I'm hearing a lot from the community is that there's little challenge in the game in terms of management once you're past the initial startup phase. I think for those not into the build something pretty side of the game, then outside of the campaign mode, there's not much else to do beyond that first hurdle, other than add more attractions and hire more staff. Something I think would be helpful with this would be random times events popping up. I'm thinking things, so say it's Festival of Light Day or something, and that means guests have a huge desire now to see fireworks. Or maybe it's Spring Break Day, and now you've got an influx of teens visiting the park that day. Anything that gives a bit more of an unpredictable challenge. And have it so if you do a good job meeting the targets of a timed event, you get a reward. I think that could make the mid-game challenge more interesting. Number 3 on my wish list, I'd like the ability to schedule shows. We have this already in Planet Zoo in the form of education talks. You can set up a talk point, schedule keeper talks for specific times a day, and guests will show up for the talks and leave a little more educated. I'd like something similar to that in Planet Coaster 2 with the entertainers. Set up an entertainment point and have it so that we can schedule shows for specific times a day. When showtime comes, have the entertainers do a programme routine, and guests watching the show could get a boost to their entertainment stat. I have a gut feeling with this one, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. This could potentially be something already in the works, because I'm assuming it could use the same coding as what's already set up for the education talks in Planet Zoo. They are drip feeding other things from Planet Zoo, like the restaurants, so I guess we'll have to wait and see if this is something that shows up. Number 4 on my wish list is adding more depth to staff management. Currently, the staff are kinda inconsequential. Doesn't matter who you hire or fire, or the staff choosing to quit, you can simply hire more. I want the game to make me care about them. For a start, I'd bring back staff training. I'd certainly care about them more if I'd invested into training. Something else I'd like to see, but I doubt will come to Planet Coaster, more choice in the hiring process. Lots of games implement this well, so there's no excuse. I feel like it's a conscious decision that none of the Planet games do this. What I'd like to see, when I need to hire staff, I'd like to see a pool of potential recruits, each with a handful of traits that could positively or negatively impact their performance, and it's up to me to decide which candidate best suits the role. A rides operator with no experience, for example, maybe the ride stops working for no reason, or a staff member with a grumpy or happy trait, maybe that influences guest mood. That would be fun to deal with, but I doubt we'll get this though. It would take a staff management overhaul to implement. Number 5, I'm moving on to the build stuff. First for this, I'd like a terrain stamp. Didn't realise I missed this until this week, working on something that would have definitely benefited from this tool. Can't recall if we even had one in the original Planet Coaster, but there is one in Planet Zoo. It's basically a big terrain stamp tool that lets you add or remove landscape in a chunk, and it's really handy for creating specific shapes in the terrain. I've been shifting a lot of terrain from an Extreme Kingdom episode, and I really could have done with a tool like this for that. Number 6 on my wish list, I'd like a toggle for scenery collision. You see a lot of new players getting upset that guests are walking through scenery they've placed on a path, and it's viewed as a glitch, but it's just something that's never been programmed into the game before. I mean, yeah, we can cut out tiny pieces of path or use a barrier piece, but wouldn't it all be much simpler if we had a toggle on the scenery pieces tab that lets us say whether we wanted to have collision or not? That'd be so much easier to make sure guests aren't walking through the planters and lights without having to go through a bunch of extra steps to achieve that. Similarly, maybe this is a me thing, but I'd love a toggle for turning off the vegetation movement. Most of the plants in Planet Coaster 2 are constantly moving and twitching, which is fine for external set dressing. Not so great for placing plants within a building. I'd love a toggle to turn off the movement. An option to turn off the plants twitching in the breeze, I think that would help reduce processing too, which I'm sure would be handy for those playing on console dealing with the complexity meter. Number 8 on my list is to do with the moving platforms. Don't get me wrong, these are a great addition to the game, but for more versatility, it'd be nice if there was a sliding scale for speed and movement. I found at times even the slowest rotation, it's too fast for small custom animatronics, and for the vertical and horizontal platforms, you're stuck with the set lengths for the movement. I'd love a scale slider or something that lets you say how long you want it to be, similar to how we can adjust the length of a piece of coaster track. Anyway, on to number 9 for what I'd like to see in a future update, cinematic camera. This is a feature I dream of making it into Planet Coaster 2, and it is a selfish one because I know it's more for the content creators than everyone else. But it is something I do think about every video I pull together. Referring back to Planet Zoo yet again, the cinematic camera in Planet Zoo is wonderful. It lets you set up a path for a camera shot so you can direct the camera to follow a specific route, tell it how fast to go, whether to spin, reverse, zoom in, zoom out, it's got everything. It's incredibly powerful for showcasing builds in a video, and it makes the whole process much quicker. Currently in Planet Coaster 2, it's a mix of clunky movement shots with the mouse and keyboard, or still shots that I need to manually add movement to in the video edit. One trick you can use for making better shots is turning on edge scrolling and setting that to the lowest speed, but it's fiddly though, and it can take many shots to get the edge scrolling running at the right speed. Every time, for every video that I'm going through that, I just wish that there was a cinematic camera control. And maybe it's something they do intend to add, but maybe they're waiting for something like a Studios pack to tie in with it. Anyway, that's all of my big asks for what I'd like to see in future updates. I know others have different perspectives, there's still lots the coaster enthusiasts want to see, and I'm sure builders have requests for other themes. Personally, I'm quite happy with whatever they choose to add in that respect. Same with the weather thing. I know some really want to see the weather tweaked, so rain looks more like rain. A lot really want snow. I'm sure that is coming, maybe a fall update to tie in with the festive season. But yeah, a lot of my personal wish list, it's full of management stuff because I think there's a huge audience out there would be interested in the game if it offered more to the management side of things. Let me know what you think though, do you agree, or is there something else you'd really like to see in a future update? And of course, as always, thanks for listening to me ramble on. I'll catch you next video.